The void stage or the hermit stage of spiritual awakening usually starts after you went through the dark night of the soul, and it feels quite different. One of the hardest things for me was the fact that while going through the void, I had a feeling that kind of nothing from what I'm doing changing anything. Like I'm not getting results from no matter how hard I try, and also this feeling that the stage is never ending. And after the dark night of the soul, which is quite intense experience, many people go through some crisis when you go through dark night of the soul, and some drastic changes may happen in your life, and maybe you arrive to the void stage after some change happened. Maybe you lost something, maybe you quit your job, maybe you moved somewhere else, maybe you end some important relationship, and in the void that externally could be very different for everyone. There are some similarities about what's going inside you, and one of the main things is this emptiness. You can feel lost without understanding who you really are and what you want to do in your life. Maybe all your old dreams, goals, beliefs, values start having much less meaning for you. After you went through the dark night of the soul, after you went from some, let's say, partial ego death, I think for me, I can honestly say, of course, I still have an ego, and it will be a life, I will say that I don't, but partially my ego has dissolved and it's changed me quite a bit. And during the void, this process continues. The process of dissolving of your ego, the process of finding who you are when you're not identifying yourself with your ego. And your ego is still here, but it's becoming more kind of light, less fixed in certain form or identity, more flexible, and you see more and more where you want to act or choose through your ego, and where it's already your intuition, and you start feeling more understanding and become more aware that there is something else that is also you, that making maybe better choices and moving your life in a bit different direction. And this is a learning process, and that's why I think sometimes we can be stuck in the void for a very long time, because we need to learn to live differently. So the struggles of the void are this emptiness that I already said, and the other one is isolation. This happened to me, and I heard that it happened to other people too, that circumstances in your life are changing in a way that you become really isolated. And I'm isolated now still, because now I'm living in the countryside, quite far from everything, and I spend a lot of time by myself. I don't have a good active social life now, and in the beginning it was frustrating, feeling like life kind of has stopped for me, and I didn't accept it well. I tried to fight with it. I tried to force myself into doing, into achieving, into changing. And if you're in the void, you can notice that this is not working. Like you have some goals, you want to do something, but no matter how hard you try, maybe you have very strong willpower, self-discipline, and you make a plan and you do things, but they're just not really working. And you may notice like what was working for you in the past doesn't work anymore. You do maybe the same actions, you get to use it. If I do this, I will get that. It's not working, and that's the other scary thing. You don't understand how life is working, how I can do things, how can I change my life in the way I want. But together with this, the other problem, you don't really understand what you want, and that's what was happening with me. Most of the ego goals and desires already start losing their meaning when you go through dark night of the soul. In the void, it's continuance. And the difference between the void and the dark night of the soul, That's you don't have intense emotional, painful experience anymore. A lot of your traumas already healed. You still have some, it's also coming, but the intensity is so different that you can clearly see the difference, that this is the void. And this emptiness, this isolation, forces you to go inside, to start looking for new connection with yourself, new meaning in life, new purpose. The void is about finding answers inside you, finding your kind of power, your support inside. You should start becoming less dependent on the external things, less dependent maybe on teachers. Start finding your own connection with the source, you can say with the God, with the universe, no matter how you're calling it, some connection with the divine, with the creator. Building this connection with another part of yourself that is also divine, not just the mind-based, not just the ego identity, something very, very different. And all the learning in the void is about how to start taking actions, not from your ego, but from your true self, your bigger self, the higher power that you really are. And this is not easy. Well, it was not easy. One of the things that is helping to go through this is meditating. And when I was watching videos for the people who went through the void phase and they were giving advices, I heard the same stuff: meditate, journaling, self-reflection. And I didn't want it. I wanted some quick answer just to end it, just to move my life somewhere, just to stop being stuck in this. The more I listen to these people, the more I understand that I can't just move it with my willpower's actions. I have to go through this learning, and I had to learn to accept it. And yes, and now after I'm kind of at the end of this phase, I'm already in the last few months. I think I'm kind of going in between void and grounding, which is the next one. I think it will last for some time before I will end really like the stage of grounding. And I now, when I'm kind of coming to an end, I want to say exactly the same stuff. Meditation, journaling, self-reflection are the main things that can help you. And watching also maybe other people with their experience, the main thing of watching stories of other people who went through the void is it gives you kind of hope and understanding that it will end, that it will not last forever, that what happened with you is normal and it's just a phase. It's a phase, you kind of want a cocoon, that you grow in a new self there, and so then you can start a different life. Meditation helps you to calm down your mind and to connect with your intuition, to connect with the divine. Journaling can help you to see your mind, maybe some destructive patterns, your beliefs, what's going on. Become more self-aware what's going on, and all self-reflection is about this. Start understanding who you really are. And the other interesting thing, how you can stuck longer in the void, that probably you don't want to, is you will see that reality may start kind of test in a way that when you connect with your intuition, you start getting some impulse to do something, and it comes with an energy, with inspiration, and you maybe start doing something new, maybe not new, but something that you want, some changes, finally some movement, and you're like, you don't feel so stagnant anymore. But the moment your ego comes into power, and if you get too much identified again with ego, and you start looking at the things that you're doing from ego perspective, your energy will go away, you will lose your inspiration, and probably you will not do anything, and you will be drawn back inside to go back again to find the real you kind of, and the real purpose that was behind this action. So you may have the impulse, from intuition what to do. But once your ego comes in charge and taking all the credit that, oh, I did it, and if I do this I will achieve this or that, and when ego starts creating a story about maybe how great you are or how big of achievement it is, or ego not always create positive stories. Sometimes it can create story in a negative way, but usually when you're doing something, they're more positive. When you start create more stories, in this moment, you can lose all the energy, all the inspiration, and all this desire to do things finally. And when I first heard about it from someone also on YouTube, that's changed quite a lot for me, because I was already noticing this. And when I heard that that's exactly one of the lessons of the void stage, and that exactly how the reality is kind of testing you, not to punish you or anything, how I understand this, it's because when you go through spiritual awakening, when you find your real self, you start to be connected with your mission, you start to be connected to what the divine wants to be done through you here. And it could be something very different from what you've done before, maybe not. It depends, all situations are individual. For me, it's not too different from what I was doing the last several years, but still requires some changes, maybe a bit more about how I'm doing what I'm doing. So it's testing and teaching and preparing you in a way, because you need to do some important stuff later. And if you will do it from the ego, not only you will suffer, but you can create problems also for others, because the motivation will be wrong. And this is a teaching moment to act, to choose, to live from the connection to divine through your intuition. That's how you connect to your mission or purpose, find some meaning. But while you're in the void, you need to learn to be in this emptiness, void, isolation, learn to be in rest, learn to be without much going on, learn to quiet your mind, to be by yourself and finding everything inside yourself, not outside. Still, there are things that can help you, and already mentioned when you're watching about other people's experience, it could be very helpful. And actually that's was also one thing that changed after my void stage started coming to an end. I lost interest in this, watching these videos, and I decided I should make this one now, while I still a bit there, and I still remember this experience and this feelings quite well, because then I'm not sure that I will. And the other thing, the book that really helped me is the books of Tosh Silver. One of them is called Outrageous Openness, and this, I think, is a perfect book for everyone who are going through the void stage. I don't think that it's perfect book for everyone, like for everyone, for all the people, but for everyone who specifically is in this stage now, who's struggling with this acceptance of uncertainty, of not having any direction, not understanding what to do, with not having the meaning, the purpose, and maybe being bored or lost, and feeling restless, a strong desire to change it, to get quicker results, maybe come into self-blame that you can't change it. If you're going through this, the book is great. It's really helped me a lot. After I started reading it, quite quickly things start changing. But before I start reading it, I've been already in the void for, I think, almost a year. So I think some stuff that I've done made it longer than maybe it should be. But yeah, I know some people could be for several years, but some people say that they went quicker to the void stage. But for me, it's like this. And the process of spiritual awakening changing us quite a lot, and it can be difficult to fit our new self, let's say, in our old life. But because the process, for many people, it doesn't happen like this in one day. It takes time, and sometimes it's happening together with some big life changes, maybe after some crisis or just some big changes. Already gave some examples. Then it makes more sense that you start living a different life. But as I said, it's difficult to find ways to kind of fit yourself, your new self in your old life, and that's another point of the void stage, you need to find some kind of confidence with this new self. And you have gone through some trial with some situation, how trust in yourself, your intuition, trust in the divine, maybe here in the divine, influence in your life. And this learning then helping in other situations, because when you start acting, when you start to have some bigger changes, when you go kind of to this world, you will need this kind of confidence that you already practiced just by yourself. And then when you will interact with people, interact with the world, with some situations, you will come back to this, to something that you created inside, to this connection that will help you to continue doing what's need to be done, regardless of what's going outside. And my example of how this spiritual change influenced what I'm doing, for example, because several years ago I started doing life coaching, and normally life coaching is the work with the mindset. When the kind of spiritual realms start coming in my life, when I was going through spiritual awakening, when I was going deeper and deeper in spirituality, in energy work, in meditation, I understood that I can't do coaching anymore in the way I've done. It had to change a lot, because working just with mind is still, it's keeping you more in ego. There are some ways how you can work with your mindset that you will disconnect a bit from the ego and find what's behind. But if you use only limited coaching tools to work with mindset, that could be the problem. That was a problem for me. When I have to start changing it quite a lot, what I'm doing, by adding the spiritual level and energy healing and quantum psychology, everything that is much deeper and much bigger than just the mindset. And I find a great way to combine all the things together. I can work and on mindset and on all other levels, because when you get this connection with divine, you can work directly with subconscious mind, where hidden all the old traumas, all the beliefs that you're not aware of, all the paradigms that run your life, you access them straight away. Because if I'm disconnected from my ego, I can help the client to disconnect from their ego, and we go directly to this subconscious, where all this information is kind of hidden, and we work directly with this. We don't need to do a lot of talking and working just with mindset to arrive there. It's getting much more quickly just with this kind of ability to disconnect from ego, to connect to the divine, and see this much higher level of self-awareness brings you all the information what's need to be changed here and now. Once you see the belief or this pattern, where it came from, you can do the healing, the energy healing that I'm doing, for example, and then the level of the mind, the mindset will just change already by itself while we healed and solved the deeper underlying reason. And that's how we change, for example, my work a lot. But that's also the difficulty when you were doing things in a certain way, and then you need to change. It's very different when you add in the spirituality to your life, when you understand that you can't just live just from your ego. It's sometimes becoming more tricky with communication with other people who are not going through this journey. For them, what you will say about energy, about ego, about spirituality, for them it will be nothing if they're not interested, and for you it may become not interesting to have the communication only on the kind of level of the mind, of logic and this rationality or emotions. You want to have deeper communication, deeper connection, different kind of relationship. But in the void, it's very probable that you will be alone with this. Maybe you have some friend, or maybe you could find some online community. Also, books are helpful about someone who's going through this. But that's also the learning part, to trust yourself, even others don't understand this, even when others don't accept it. What I also learned, why you're still not confident with the change that you went through, maybe it's better not to talk about it, because then the opinions and the perception of other people, what they're telling about you, can influence you much stronger before you create this real trust to yourself. So first, building everything inside you, and finding some help, and maybe books, videos, maybe spiritual teachers, or also the mentioned coaching. And the way I'm doing it, it can help people, especially who start going through the spiritual awakening process, who losing a bit their old habits, old goals, old dreams, when everything is changing, when you start seeing that you don't really know who you are. In this case, the coaching that I'm offering can be really helpful, and you can check the information on my website. I think that's it for today. If you didn't see, I have also a video about the dark night of the soul, my story about how I was going through it. I can leave the link below. And if you have any questions or comments, or you also want to share your experience, how you're feeling in the void stage, for how long it's lasting, and what were your main insights, what was helpful for you, you can share it in the comments. I will be very happy to read them.